Is libertarianism just for white males? Are you even a real libertarian? Well, according to some people, probably not. All that and more on episode 58 of the Scottish Liberty Podcast with me, Antony Sammeroff,
and me, Adolf Hitler.
Okay.
Okay, the power of suggestion. No, I'm Tom Laird.
So, you were watching the what's the name of the guy?
I was watching Politicon.
Politicon.
Yeah, I watched Politicon. Big political debate, the heavyweight contest of the year with Cenk Uygur, he of the Young Turks, and of course your favourite Jew, and yours, Ben Shapiro.
Ben Shapiro,
and it had a big build up. I watched it live, most of it, and
guess what?
It wasn't all it was hyped up to be, though. These things generally aren't. But you're not a big fan of Mr. Shapiro's. I think you've got Jew envy.
He says some good things.
He's a better musician than you. And you just can't stand it.
He says some good things on economics from time to time, but
what's your major beef with him?
Well, he's a warmonger, and I think that
warmonger, baby.
I think that tends to taint any other aspect of what someone might have to contribute. And also, this is a problem that we have. Like the left are coming across as approachable. And the kind of people they're coming across as like, oh yeah, you could go out and have a beer with these people and they'd probably lend you a carton of milk and help you fix your car.
Lend you a carton of milk?
Well, whatever it is. Whereas I
think what they would do is they would force somebody at gunpoint to give them a pint of milk, then they would give it to you.
Yeah, perhaps
and
also
call it
altruism. Well, the thing is, I just think we have a very big PR problem in terms of selling free markets to the general public. And this is exacerbated by people like Shapiro, although he's not the worst.
And not a libertarian.
But he does claim to be for free markets, and Coulter, who is also at Politicon, claims to be for free markets. And then you've got, I don't know, people like Paul Joseph Watson and people who are basically trollish. I'm just concerned that people will come along and go, well, if that's what libertarians are, they're all a bunch of assholes. And I don't want anything to do with them.
Well, how come nobody does that with socialism? How come nobody just reads Capital and goes, oh, that's socialism, what a bunch of assholes?
Well, they don't even read Das Kapital, let's face it.
Okay, how come nobody looks at repeated socialist fuck-ups, repeated fucking socialist, hello, have you heard of Venezuela? Do you know what's going on there right now?
Right, okay.
How come people don't fucking repeatedly look at fucking socialism and socialists and go, oh, I get it. Socialism's a shitty idea.
Right, okay. No, I share your frustration 100%. Like, we can just look at Estonia compared to the other countries that were Eastern Bloc countries, or Chile, which is the richest country in South America, compared to all the ones that have had socialism. Obviously Hong Kong and Singapore, etc. West Germany versus East Germany. On the evidence basis alone, you'd hope by this point people would go, penny's kind of dropped. I completely agree with you on that point. But what I mean is the talking heads. The thing is, people's personality comes a lot into them choosing their politics.
Okay,
and the talking heads of the progressive left, I'm not talking about the radical left, they come across as their whole ethos, the whole way they present themselves are, we're the nice people who care about folk.
So it's all
and
about
that
packaging.
is selling. That is selling those ideas. That is selling the ideas.
So
that is reaching people.
One of your favourite quotes, nobody cares what's
They don't care what you know until they know. No
Right,
one cares
okay.
what you know until they know you care. Or
right? Okay. Well, I mean,
and they're coming across as the more caring, nice. And I'm not talking about shrieking social justice warriors, because they're getting a lot of flack from the left now at last as well. But for a long time, the more moderate left was giving refuge to them. What I'm saying is they've got the PR down. They're looking like the Young Turks. I mean, Cenk Uygur, as far as I'm concerned, he's a fairly mediocre mind. He's not a revolutionary, creative, interesting, radical thinker. He's not got new ideas, but he's presentable. Well, who does have new ideas? Steve Pinker, Noam Chomsky to an extent, I guess maybe not anymore, but he's getting on. Are we talking about the left? I think Stefan Molyneux was a very original thinker for a long time. It's hard to dispute that. Hans Hermann Hoppe, poster boy of the alt-right. No, I don't know if that's true or not, but let's face it, he has come under some
a lot
flack.
of alt-rightists have read, the Democracy of the God That Failed.
Yeah, and
it sort of became a Bible.
They deserve a medal for actually reading that book, because it's extraordinarily difficult to read. And if I was Hans Hermann Hoppe, I'd pay someone to make a popular version of the text that anyone could read.
Right.
If you've read Democracy
I'm
Failed,
I'm endeavouring to read it at the moment. I'm ploughing through it. I'm only on chapter 2, and it is quite it's quite heavy going.
It is. It's a difficult read. Who do you think is an original thinker?
Jesus.
Well, I don't know. I mean, he repackaged a bunch of stuff from Hinduism and
No,
Buddhism,
he
let's
didn't.
face it.
Let's not get into that. Anyway, who do I think is an original I don't know. I tend to think
Today.
that there's nothing new under the sun.
I think that's just what people who are unoriginal say.
Well, okay, I'm an original. Apart from us, obviously, and this cutting edge show that we do, I don't. Who's an original thinker? Well, I can only talk about thinkers who actually impress me. I think Jordan Peterson impresses me.
Yes, and again, I think he's repackaged a lot of stuff that people were talking about in the 60s and 70s, but it's new now because no one's talked about it since then. There's
also, he kind of brings a fresh perspective to it. Warren Farrell, yeah, okay, I'll give you that.
He blew my mind.
What else did he blow?
Well, I don't know. Alfie Kohn, I think, a really excellent original
thinker.
What's it
all about, Alfie?
Not the same Alfie as featured in the movie with score by Burt Bacharach.
You see, every day's a school day with the Scottish Liberty podcast.
There's not a whole load of original thinkers, but I think it's fair to say at this stage there's not a great need for new ideas. There's a need for greater understanding of already existing ideas, which is why I think that free marketeers really have to package themselves better. Don't get me wrong, we do need some people that just kick the door in. Like, that will appeal to some people. The thing is, I think we've got enough people, and there's enough Milo Yiannopoulos in the world who are just a
good version of Monopoly, Yiannopoulos.
We should create this game, the alt-right board game. Yiannopoulos. You have been publicly shamed. Go to do not pass go, do not collect 200 YouTube subscribers or whatever.
And you wouldn't be allowed to buy any public utilities.
So yeah, I agree with you. Jordan Peterson's impressive. Warren Farrell's impressive. Alfie Kohn's impressive. Stefan Molyneux to a degree. I prefer his older stuff. I feel like he's on his greatest hits tour, doing the same stuff again and again. People like that, they are original thinkers, but they're not getting them, with the exception of Stefan Molyneux, and he is the kind that kicks the door in. They're not getting the most views. It's people like Paul Joseph Watson or who else? Lauren Southern does well. She's not a great original thinker.
No, but they're preaching to the choir.
They're preaching to the choir. Now, don't get me wrong.
Singing to the choir.
You do need to preach to the choir. I mean, the priest doesn't come in.
You've got to feed the flock.
And like go, I'm not gonna preach to you guys because you're in the choir.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna preach to these guys over here.
Yeah.
Right. The choir needs preaching to feed the flock, as you say. And also when we're doing technical episodes, more technical than this one, which is more shooting the shit, I do a bit of research. I always try and put lots of facts in there, and I see that as arming the troops.
Yeah.
So we do need morale, but I just feel like there's not enough people like that are able to sell a case the way someone like, let's say, Warren Farrell does, because he's soft-spoken and he knows the other side of the coin. We need more, and I think one of the strengths of our show is that I'm a bit more like conciliatory. Although I do go in rant modes at times, and you're obviously more the kick the door in type.
Ranty man.
And that gives us a balance.
Yeah.
And I think we need a greater balance within the movement. But I'm interested in hearing what people at home think, so please do jump onto the YouTube for this. Even if you're listening on iTunes, when you get home from your commute, go onto YouTube and leave us comments. What do you think about selling the ideas of liberty?
I don't buy that there's this mass of floating sort of voters or whatever you want to call them out there who, you meet these people. I meet people in pubs or whatever, and libertarianism, it's got a few good ideas, and it doesn't matter how you package it for these people. They're just not buying it, and the softer the sell, the more they smell blood. And they just go for you. It's like a feeding frenzy with sharks. It's like they spot any concession as a weakness, really, and turn on you. I think it's like they like libertarians as long as you're basically quiet about it, and you go, that's all right. That's good for you. Good for you. Good luck with that. But as soon as you start making any coherent points, and putting their ideas and arguments under scrutiny, then they take umbrage and then they want to come at you with a sledgehammer. So I think the Paul Joseph Watsons, I don't regard Paul Joseph Watson as a libertarian. I don't think he regards himself as a libertarian. I think he's made several comments. I know Yiannopoulos has made comments suggesting that libertarianism is something a bit effete and namby-pamby. But back to Shapiro and Uygur, because we diverged there. See what we did. I watched the debate. I didn't. First, I thought I didn't buy the hype after the post-match hype, where there was a whole load of libertarians. Guys, don't fucking do this, okay? I really hate it. I know it's clickbait, and fucking we might have even been guilty of it in the past, but we're a young show. We're trying to get ourselves noticed. But anyway, don't do this thing where you go, just pick two fucking random names that are on the opposite side of the spectrum and go, Jordan Peterson destroys libtard, and then you click on there and you watch a rather mundane discussion in which Jordan Peterson may or may not have got the upper hand, depending on your point of view. And you go, well, look,
he's not destroyed him.
He's not fucking destroyed him. Unless he fucking pulls a fucking 66mm anti-tank missile out his fucking arse and fucking fires it at his fucking opponent and literally fucking destroys him.
That's a lot of fuckings for one sentence, man.
Yeah, it fucking is. It just annoys me, and if it annoys me, how much does it annoy everybody else? You click on it, oh God, I'm going to.
But you still clicked on it.
I do still click on it, and
that's why that's why people do it.
That's why they do it. I know. So I'm going to stop clicking on it.
I'm going to make the name for this video. Scottish libertarians destroy something.
Oh God, let's not. It's just, it's fucking so counterproductive. You know, people. I mean, I'm starting to get real. I'm not starting to. I am bored of it. I'm really bored of seeing it. Every second or third video is like, you know, he destroys this, he destroys that, and you see no such thing. So I did not see Ben Shapiro destroy Cenk Uygur.
No.
More's the pity. Okay. I don't hate Cenk Uygur. I actually used to quite like some of the stuff that the Young Turks came out with in the early days, especially on the anti-war stuff. They were one of the only people.
It was easy to do it under Bush. It was easy to be
absolutely,
good
yeah,
under
because
Bush.
they were attacking. So they suddenly became very, you know.
They were critical of some things about Obama. They were even critical about Obamacare being a handoff to corporations.
Yeah,
that's a very lefty way of looking at it, but I think it's true.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So anyway, so they debated, among other things, they debated taxation, they debated healthcare. I think consistently that Ben Shapiro produced the better arguments, but then that's my take because I'm kind of biased.
Yeah.
However, I thought Cenk Uygur was slightly better than I expected him to be. The only time he really lost it was when he started to, you know, when the audience were kind of booing him when he was talking about he didn't call it redistribute, recycling money. Was it recycling he called it?
Who?
Cenk
that
Uygur.
really annoyed me.
Okay,
and Ben Shapiro was not right.
Yeah, that's where that was a perfect opportunity to have a killing blow.
Yeah, because libertarians, you're going to hear this all the time. Oh, if we take wealth from the top and distribute it to the bottom, then it's going to circulate in the economy.
No, didn't he say it was good? Didn't he specifically say circulate it among the middle? Because what will happen is the middle classes will not save, they'll spend.
They'll go out and spend it, okay, because, you know, see when that upper class person invests in the stock market, that money just disappears. It doesn't go into a business where the owner of the business pays his staff who are middle class and then go out and spend the money. Like, it just disappears into a black hole. Didn't
Shapiro adroitly point out that the whole reason the Young Turks is a going concern and a going business is because a wealthy person invested in it?
I think he could have. I think instead of making it personal, which is great for a quip, he could have included that. But I think it's better to understand the mechanics, because it's all coming back to Bastiat. That's which is seen and that which is not seen. And people really don't understand what is not seen. He wasn't wrong, and you know, it's not like they're. I mean, people really, really do believe that, and it was a pretty compelling argument to me when I was a lefty. Oh, that makes sense. You know, rich people just put it away, whereas poor people will spend it in their local economy and it'll get the local business going. The problem is you're missing out a step, which is when it enters the economy from the top, it filters down. Sorry, this is beginning to sound like trickle-down. What I mean, trickle-down economics, which, by the way, no free marketeer ever said. It's just the left-wing slander. The point is, it first gets spent on capital, and the capital is factories or machines that create more products. The more products there are, supply outweighs demand, the price of the products comes down, therefore poor people find those products more affordable. In the meantime, the poor people are getting paid because it's poor people who are making the machines or making the factories and then who are being employed in those factories. So if you just give it to the people at the bottom, it may be satisfying to your notions of equality and stuff like that, but that's only going to create price inflation if it isn't backed up by equivalent increase in the number of goods that are available.
Economically, you're just jerking off, really.
I think so. It's a very, very popular argument amongst the lefts and Keynesians, and more people should write about why that argument is wrong, because it's not beyond the realms of the average person to understand why that argument is a fallacy. It's just, you don't even hear this stuff on television. I mean, you might be right that there's not a bunch of floating voters that can be talked around. But the thing is, it's not even like these people, if they knew, it's just because they meet a libertarian like once in a blue moon.
Yeah.
If they knew 4 or 5 libertarians, it becomes less of a weird thing. And they actually have to go away and start considering why they view things the way they do.
Okay. So, I mean, the thing is with Uygur, what I find particularly disturbing about him is he claims at least to have started on the right of the spectrum, but his parents were conservatives, according to himself. And he himself was a Republican, so he says, to a certain degree, and then suddenly he decided that was not a good thing and became this kind of liberal twat. But I mean, you yourself, my esteemed colleague here, Mr. Sammeroff, started out on the left. He was a bedwetting liberal, but then he's all better now.
Yeah.
So what
still wet the bed, but
yeah, occasionally he's actually wet the couch as we speak. As soon as he mentioned Bastia, he always does that. So what gives with people who see? I don't think he really was a conservative. Here's what I think: he grew up in a conservative household. His parents were probably Republican voters, but they probably didn't spend a lot of time thinking about it, and getting into the apologetics of it. And as soon as somebody from the left came along with what Cenk Uygur, considered to be
an argument,
a thought through argument,
yeah.
as opposed to somebody just being a cultural liberal, he probably embraced it. I mean, I don't know. I'm just guessing, but it's hard for me to get my head around how somebody can actually be on the conservative sort of right of things and then embrace liberalism. I don't know what gives there, but maybe you could give us an insight into that, Antony. Having done it the other way around.
Well, I think that I might.
I mean, you grew up in a conservative household.
Yeah.
Did your parents have any? Did they manage to give you any kind of well thought through reasons for the conservatism?
Thing my dad would really say is compare West Germany to East Germany, compare this to that, and it was historical examples, right. And my thought was the automatic, well, that's not what we're really going for, is it? I mean, we're not looking for an authoritarian form of socialism. So I would have he wasn't exactly Milton Friedman when it came to answering objections, and that just strengthened my position.
Well, David Friedman's not exactly Milton Friedman, so
right. So the thing is, I think in the 90s and the early thousands, it was easier to stay a progressive or a liberal lefty because the internet wasn't so developed, and the books available to you, the most articulate voices in the discourse seemed to be people on the left. Yeah. Even Michael Moore seemed considerably more articulate than a lot of the righties, and you could say that righties like Ann Coulter are articulate, but she was a warmonger, so that would put me off listening to anyone something like that had to say. And I just found the lack of compassion, and it was easy to be a liberal lefty under Bush as well, because it seemed so obvious who was worse and who was better in those days. Now, after 8 years of Obama, it's not so clear.
Well, you would think that.
Yeah, but it's early days for most people. The word libertarian has only started to enter the public discourse.
Yeah.
The movement has done in the last couple of years what it failed to do since the 70s. Libertarianism is new. Not all of the ideas in libertarianism are new. Yeah. But as a coherent...
As a movement.
Even as a coherent political philosophy, it wasn't stitched together until the 19th century. Until the 20th century. The 19th century predecessors, whatever it was, like Thomas Jefferson thought that sodomy should be punishable. John Locke thought that you couldn't accept atheism because then people's vows in courts were null and void. Adam Smith wasn't a pure free marketeer. He had problems with division of labour. But Adam Smith didn't have the benefit of Adam Smith. Yeah. If Adam Smith grew up reading Adam Smith, he could probably correct many of the errors.
That's a good way of putting it. Yeah.
So it was only in the 20th century that our philosophy became cogent and coherent, and I think we've done brilliantly well in the last decade. So if you don't have it,
okay, sure. I was just going to ask, because when you brought up Ann Coulter, and you watched, I didn't watch the Coulter Sarkeesian debate. You did. Do you want to go into that a little bit, or do you want to do?
Sure. It wasn't Sarkeesian. It was that Anna Kasparian.
Kasparian. Sarkeesian, because I knew it was some. They all meld into one. These sort of leftist, feminist.
Yeah. Well, I'll just say I thought Ben Shapiro was pretty weak on getting money out of politics. I think Cenk Uygur came out the stronger on that, because Shapiro was just forced into defending corporatism, defending lobbying for kickbacks from the taxpayer's pocket. And I don't think he needed to do that. So the other thing on Coulter versus Kasparian, let's face it, Kasparian isn't up to the mental stature of Ann Coulter. Sadly, Ann Coulter often uses her brains for evil rather than good. Although I have to hand it to her, she's taken very unpopular stances on single motherhood. Again, if you watch
unpopular
her, though,
with who? With other conservatives?
Just with the public in general. It's the kind of thing you don't do. You know, you don't criticise single mothers, or you get shot at, basically. You get sniped at. And she's gone on TV saying, you know, whatever. Now, the thing is...
But keep your legs shut, basically.
And talking about the statistics, about how it's the biggest disadvantage you can give a child statistically. She's brave for doing that, but again, her presentation, because it lacked compassion, was less likely to have the sway. I mean, I watched it with my partner at the time when it came out, and she basically was like, they're all a bunch of fucking idiots. The people in the audience are idiots, and she's an idiot for thinking she can deliver those facts in that tone of voice and still reach anyone, because she's talking to idiots. So she has to pitch it at their level and wrap it up in compassion, not wrap it up in single mothers are evil, but actually in the compassion of the children.
Here's what I was going to say earlier on the compassion thing. I'm all for compassion. But here's what I find what happens, especially when you're dealing with life. You cannot win, because as soon as you talk in compassionate terms, what they accuse you of doing is cloaking your evil intentions in compassionate language, right? No matter how you dress this up, you know, you're using compassionate language, and you're talking about caring for poor people, and you're talking about caring for, you know, it's a better way of caring for people. The bottom line is you're going to get rid of the state safety net.
Those are the talking heads. Those are the talking heads. You are going to get attacked probably no matter how you put it. But the question is, are you trying to win the short game or the long game? And I'm not as I said, I'm not against people kicking in doors either, because people with different personalities reach different people. What I'm saying is there's a lack of people who are good at putting the compassionate face on libertarianism. Now, if people at home think I'm wrong about that, I'm more than interested in hearing your arguments. The thing is, I think that the left have got tons of people who are good at putting the compassionate face on their views.
Okay, here's a better idea. Rather than talk a compassionate fight,
right?
Rather than talk a lot of compassionate sort of gobbledygook, wouldn't it be better to just give living examples of compassionate libertarianism in action? Actually finding libertarian organisations, libertarian charities, and where libertarians are actually active in the community and doing real-time, real-term work with disadvantaged communities and disadvantaged people, and making a difference, and saying, look, here's how you would do it. You know,
Yeah,
here's
agree with you.
you know, like the
We need to
doctor,
demonstrate.
like the doctor who's running a hospital on a
The
shoestring,
Oklahoma, the
or
Oklahoma
the
clinic.
guy who's running a school for kids and it's very cheap and he's doing better than the States. You know, these are the things we really need to highlight instead of people talking the fight. Actual show living examples of how libertarianism can work in reality.
I think there's a podcast dedicated to that. Antony Caprio is the name of the host. I think it's called Free Cities.
Excellent.
Would you like to hear more of that, people at home? Would you like us to get more guests like Justin Nugent who are actually doing stuff? You let us know what you want to see. Now, I guess before we wrap up, this was going to be our lead story.
What? I'm just getting.
Yeah, I know.
I'm just getting into it, man.
I know. We're at 30 minutes, believe it or not. We led with this story. Libertarianism. A Salon article says libertarianism is for white men. The ugly truth about the right's favourite movement. Now, I think this is something we've been talking about. You know, libertarian leading conservatives, but I think overwhelmingly, first of all, libertarian. According to whom, is libertarianism the right's favourite movement?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of disparaging stuff from the alt-right towards libertarians.
And the mainstream right, they think we're either idealists or we're navel-gazing or we're some kind of...
We're the idiot little brother or whatever of conservatism. Good for you, kid.
Just
you go for it. Yeah.
I don't know if we're conservatives that want to smoke pot or we're liberals that like capitalism. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Who says that we're the right's favourite thing? I've heard there's actually a trend, there's a lot of this going on YouTube and in social media at the moment, and there's some very well made videos about how libertarianism is basically what they're saying is we're fascism light, you know, because we disagree, because we are antagonistic towards democracy, because we're antagonistic towards it. But then, look, who can fucking deny that fascism is collectivism?
Right.
That racism is collectivism? How is individual... I mean, they make clever videos where they intercut snippets of speech from Hans Hermann Hoppe, snippets of speech from Adolf Hitler, snippets of speech from Stefan Molyneux, and they all seem to be singing off the same hymn sheet. You know,
selectively quoting
Of course they
Hitler.
do, right? I mean, you could do the exact same thing.
Right, libertarianism is the opposite of fascism. Fascism is the government and corporations, the merging of government and corporation. Libertarianism is specifically against the government intervening in the economy in any form.
The government intervening in anything, really?
The first... Would you say that Bismarck was a proto-fascist?
You could argue he was a proto-socialist.
Okay, well he was. I mean, he introduced the first welfare state in Europe. He persecuted Catholics. He did a lot of unlibertarian stuff, right? So I don't see the link between also fascism is very big on the military and stuff like that, and libertarians aren't so big on the military, especially.
Well, there's a lot of guys out there posing as libertarians who kind of are big on the military.
Okay. Well, you know, we've got this
just gets us into our second thing about who's a real libertarian, right?
Because this says libertarianism is for white men. Well, we've got a couple of libertarian-leaning blacks who are very...
I think you've just made their argument,
very
really.
prominent. Well, Thomas Sowell and Walter Williams have been thought leaders in the libertarian movement, but they're more conservative. They're definitely not libertarian in foreign policy. So, but libertarians don't have a big boner for the military, and I think, or imperialism, and... As for
they have a big boner for guns, though, and I think people conflate the two.
Right. A lot of libertarians have a big boner for guns. I never thought I'd want a gun.
That's why I'm sitting like this.
Right.
Of course, you can't see that on iTunes, but trust me.
So are these people real libertarians, Walter William and Thomas Sowell?
Well, look, you know, I get tired. We have this in our own party, in our own movement, and in our own Facebook page. Not that I fucking look at the Facebook page, but people are constantly drawing my attention to things that somebody said on shit libertarians say on Facebook, and it's like, look at this guy, look at what he said, you know, if he's a real libertarian, I'm a monkey's uncle, you know, and it's like, you go, fuck's sake, you know, it's like, why, you know, take one thing that somebody said and just completely, you know, make your final fucking judgment. That person's not a libertarian because they said X, Y, Z, you know?
Right.
And there's loads of these people in the party, you know, it's a broad church or a broad tent, if you like, if you don't like the religious analogy. Libertarians are a broad tent. There are left libertarians, there are right libertarians, there are people, I mean, I personally think left libertarianism is an oxymoron. That's my own personal opinion. But you know what? As long as we can agree on the non-aggression principle, and as long as we can agree that government should be smaller.
Well, there's libertarians that don't agree with the non-aggression principle. There's Matt Zwolinski, and recently on libertarianism.org.
Matt Swollen Skids.
Recently on libertarianism.org, an article went up saying the non-aggression principle isn't even a principle. It's like, are these people real libertarians? So
what do they mean by it's not a principle? It's more of a what then?
They basically said it's tautological and a circular argument. It's like, but okay. Here's the thing you don't understand, right? See, whenever you act on an argument, you act on a principle. So if you don't accept people stealing your stuff, that's an argument, right? You might think it's an action, but it's actually an argument, and it's an argument for the universalization of the principle that people ought not to steal your stuff, which means you ought not to steal other people's stuff. See, if someone punches you and you don't like that, and you want to retaliate, or you want to protect yourself, that is an argument that you're entitled to self-defense. You're acting on a maxim. This is how Kant framed his whole philosophy, which was the idea that you should always act on a maxim which you could will to be universal law. So you don't cut in on the line, because if everyone cut in the line, it would be chaos or whatever, right? So everyone acts on maxims all the time, and in their day-to-day life, we accept the maxim: you don't hit people, you don't take their stuff, and you don't spread rumors about them, which, you know, bearing false witness. This is stuff that we know in everyday life. Libertarianism is just taking that and universalizing it.
Is there a danger here libertarianism could eat itself? Is there a danger that what happened to the left could happen to libertarianism?
I think that it's relatively unlikely, because
I mean, what can we all agree on? Right, okay, you would think we would all agree on the non-aggression principle, but clearly Swollen Skids doesn't, right? So, what...
He's not a real libertarian, though.
No, he's not a real libertarian. Get the fuck out of here, man. Get the fuck out of here. You're not a real libertarian. So,
you're all a bunch of socialists.
You're all socialists. Yeah, people that believe in UBI, they're all socialists.
All a bunch of socialists. Sorry,
yep.
Katrina.
Yes, and Kasparian. So you're all... Just like, why don't you just go and join the Scottish Socialist Party? Just kidding, right?
Just kidding.
Look, we're allowed to have these differences of opinion.
You're allowed to agree with the UBI.
I mean, what do we all agree? You're allowed to agree with it, but you're just dicks.
I can't believe the person who was accusing everyone else of not being a real libertarian.
Yeah,
is the one that's so
not a real libertarian. Yeah. So you know, we're allowed to have
what
these
else are you not allowed?
You cannot have any fucking hint or reservation about open borders. You will immediately be fucking pilloried.
If you've got any inkling that maybe letting a limitless amount of people into the country while they are entitled to free education, healthcare, and a vote, which means that they can
but man, that's an argument against the welfare state. It's not an argument against open borders.
Well, if you can sell people on getting rid of the welfare state with no integration policy whatsoever, I'm sorry, it's just like...
How does mass immigration make the libertarian dream more possible? Maybe it does. Maybe somebody's got an argument for that. I don't want to get bogged down in it, though.
I want to be for open borders.
Yeah, so do I desperately want to be for them.
I think that the earth is like not anyone's property, so to speak. So now I'm going to get some libertarian purists going, everything should be someone's property.
Of course,
you know what I mean? What I mean is,
what could be more closed borders?
Anyone should be able to live wherever they, in whatever geographical area they like.
Well, not if it's private property. They can't.
Within the caveat. So it's like, but you're not allowed to say this now, and this is we can't talk about
exactly. Why are so many
Why
libertarians?
Are we not even allowed to discuss it?
Why are so many libertarians behaving like social justice warriors? Why are we borrowing this? Because they're not real libertarians. Take your fill in the fucking blank. You're not a real libertarian because because you believe because I don't know whether you're pro-abortion or whether you're anti-abortion. Either way, you're not a real libertarian. If you think we should have some sort of national defence, you're either a real or not a real libertarian.
Yeah, you're not a real libertarian. If you're an anarcho-capitalist, you're not a real libertarian.
Yeah, and if you're how does that break down?
If you're a minarchist,
how does the national? You've got I was going to say orthodontists, deontologists, or whatever. What's the split?
Deontologists and consequentialists.
Exactly. Neither of them are real libertarians.
No one's a real libertarian. There's no true libertarian.
Apparently, Murray Rothbard wasn't even a real libertarian.
No, he wasn't a real libertarian
because he came out. Had loads of statements by Murray Rothbard against open borders. Towards the end of his life. But I guess.
What are the other splits?
Splitters. You splitters. There's lots of split. Oh, Israel.
Yeah. If you support Israel, you're not a real libertarian.
Yeah.
And by the way, if you support the Palestinians, you're not a real libertarian.
Absolutely. Will the real libertarian please stand up? He probably can't because he's dead. All the real libertarians are dead. We're just jerking off, is what we're doing. So it becomes tedious.
Do you know who isn't a real libertarian?
Adolf Hitler.
Steve Horowitz, who actually very relevant to our show, who recently accused Jeff Deist of being some kind of fascist for saying something about blood and soil at the end of his speech at the Mises Institute, in which he was saying. In which he was saying, in fact, I don't think I need to rehash the whole thing. If you want to know the Steve Horowitz, Jeff Deist controversy, listen to a recent episode of Tom Woods where he smashes, there you go, your favourite, Tom Woods smashes left libertarians for their criticism of anyone who, and it's all about people trying to appear politically correct. Yeah, we're libertarians, but we're not like those libertarians.
We're virtue signalling. I'm leftier than thou.
Jeff Deist's talk is called For a New Libertarian, which, if you didn't guess, is a play on Murray Rothbard's For a New Liberty. So I say that Steve Horowitz is for a new virtue signalling.
Yeah, and it's pretty tedious. What can we... Instead of finding what divides us, what does indeed unite? Okay, I would have thought the non-aggression principle, but clearly that's fucking up in the air. How about can we all agree that none of us, whether you're an anarcho-capitalist, whether you're a fucking brutalist, or whether you're a humanist, whether you're a fucking left or right libertarian, can we all agree that none of us know how to centrally plan an economy?
I can agree on that.
Would that be a good starting point?
Can't we all just get along?
Division's good at times, This is how we thrash out ideas, and ideas are good, and nothing should be taboo. Nothing should be on the table. Now, I agree. There's probably a bare minimum that somebody should subscribe to in order to rightfully call themselves a libertarian.
What that is?
Well, let's just let's hope we start a heated debate on our YouTube channel. I hope
no autistic screeching.
No use of the word libtard or fucktard. You can't use the word fucktard.
What about lolbertarian?
I quite like lolbertarian.
I love lolbertarian. Okay, thank you for tuning in to another.
Oh, are we winding this up already? I was enjoying myself. I don't know, we were going to talk about something else. Oh yeah, just to let you know that the Edinburgh, we're coming at you from Edinburgh here. From this is my disgusting abode, and Edinburgh is in full swing at the moment. It's
with the Edinburgh Fringe Festival.
The Edinburgh Fringe Festival. There you go. There's an act, one of the examples of the acts that you can avoid here in Edinburgh. You can see student fuckwits from all over the world do their version of
Hot Babes,
Shakespeare's Tempest in Serbo-Croat, with extra naked transsexuals.
They do all sorts of horrible things, like set things in the First and Second World War that never should have been. Yeah, exactly. They always set Greek tragedies in one of the world wars. It's like, what makes you think anyone is actually interested in seeing Shakespeare or a Greek tragedy set in the Second World War? I hate it. I hate it when people make things set in one of the world wars.
So the city is awash with completely overconfident middle class kids, who have been told since they were that height that everything they do is genius, from their first shit to everything. That these kids are.
There's over 5,000 acts.
It's great.
I don't know. Is it? Yeah, over 5,000 acts.
There's loads. I think it's going to be a really busy festival this year.
And
you cannot.
Do you know what?
But the good news is, all the pubs and nightclubs are open later. So yeah, you can cane it. You can cane it till 5 in the morning, and then you can wander along to a joint that's opening at 6. So you have to put up with that 1 hour of
the bar
sobriety.
Closed. Well, I'll tell you something. We might be having some guests over this Fringe Festival. Last August we did 2 shows a week on average, so we might be doing a lot more shows this month. We'll try and distinguish the regular shows from the specials for people who are in America and might not be interested in so much in what's going on in the festival. But let us know what you like. We don't hear that much feedback from our iTunes listeners, so you can always email us at
that's a good thing. Maybe
libertypodcast at gmail.com, scottishlibertypodcast@gmail.com. And I'm actually a critic. I review theatre, so I've got a pass and everything, so we can get to see in some stuff for free, and if there's anything good, we'll tell our Scottish listeners where to go.
They might tell us where to go.
They might tell us where to go, and I'm going to tell you where to go. Straight to hell if you're not a libertarian.
Yeah, so don't be a lefty
or a righty.
Be a real libertarian.
Real libertarian. What do you mean white? When you say real, do you mean white? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, that's it. Be a white guy.